Welcome to another St. Pete by Night revamped production. The following is rated for mature audiences and may contain graphic themes that will be distressing to some viewers. As always, we recommend you ensure the safety and well-being of yourself and those around you at all times. Viewer discretion is advised.
In the heart of night, we rise from shadows, howling at the moon, igniting our battles, cleansing Gaia of an endless fight, until our final days we will fight. Thanks, man, we stand united as one. Evil spirits lurking with horror and dread. Little light leads us where the grave dare tread. Glory and honor, wisdom in our hand. Together we rise, take our final stand. Everywhere we run, the wind is at our back. All the warring forces we will track. From the depths of the ocean to the clouds in the sky, vampires tremble as we learn to fight. Rage across Tampa, in this fight we'll stay. Evil spirits lurking with horror and dread. Little light leads us where the brave dare tread. Glory and honor, wisdom in our hands. Together we rise, take our final stand. Rage across Tampa, in this fight we'll stay. Everywhere with the pack, let the night be our guide. In battles of honor, we shall never hide. Rock will never hide.
Good evening and welcome to the St. Pete by Night Entertainment Network. St. Petersburg by Night is an online World of Darkness community originated in St. Petersburg, Florida, now featuring 5th edition, 20th anniversary, and Chronicles of Darkness games. So if you're interested in any of those, you should follow that Discord link down below and join our amazing community where you could run one of those games or play in one of those games, or just hang out with a bunch of really cool people and chat about the World of Darkness as well as other interests. My name is Kent, also known as Misha Kent on all social media, and I will be your storyteller tonight. And it's Tuesday night. You know what that means. It's time for Rage Across Tampa, our Werewolf the Apocalypse 5th edition chronicle set in the city of Tampa Bay, Florida, where a pack of Gru have established the Sept of the Evening Star and are attempting to combat the forces of the worm, both physical and spiritual. But before we get into all of that, our Halloween giveaway is entering into week 2. And if you have not entered into this giveaway, you really, really will want to, because there are a lot of ways you can enter. In fact, you're entered right now just by following us on Twitch. So you should go follow that link and join that giveaway and get involved with all of the cool things that are happening there. It's going to be in the chat all night long, and it's also going to be in the description of the video when it makes it to YouTube. So join that giveaway, get as many of those entries as you can, and win an amazing prize pack. So let's take a look at what you could win by entering that giveaway right now. You read that right. It is our first ever giveaway, and what better time to have a giveaway than the spooky season. My name is Kent, and I'm the founder of St. Pete by Night and the storyteller of both Rage Across Tampa and Hellhounds, and it's time for our Halloween giveaway. So let's get into the details about this giveaway, because it is a big one and you're going to want to participate. First, let's take a look at the prizes. Our grand prize winner is in for a Werewolf starter pack, and that comes with a Werewolf the Apocalypse 5th edition core rulebook, a character journal, a full dice set necessary to play the game, and a handmade crocheted dice bag courtesy of our friends over at Chromatic Creations. And if you aren't selected for the grand prize, don't worry, because you are in for a great runner-up prize. 3 of our runner-ups will receive a full dice set necessary to play any World of Darkness game and a handmade crocheted dice bag courtesy of Chromatic Creations. So those bags you see on the screen, one of them could be yours if you're a runner-up in this contest. So you're probably asking yourself, how do I enter? Well, there's many ways you can enter into this contest, including visiting St. Pete by Night on YouTube, submitting a video about your favorite Tampaverse character, joining our Discord on the link down below, following St. Pete by Night on Instagram, commenting on the Instagram photos, and following St. Pete by Night on TikTok. But wait, there's more. You could also submit a TikTok about your favorite Tampaverse character. Follow St. Pete by Night on Blue Sky. Like, repost, or reply to our Blue Sky posts. Share a post using one of the hashtags St. Pete by Night, Rage Across Tampa, Tampaverse, or SPbN Halloween. Plus, there are bonus entries if you're a Twitch subscriber, so subscribe to Twitch. But of course, it wouldn't be a giveaway without the important legal jargon, so let's get to the important stuff. The giveaway runs October 7th through November 1st, 2025. You must be 18 or older and a US resident to enter. Winners are chosen at random through Gleam and announced on YouTube and our social media. The contest is free to enter, no purchase necessary, and it's not sponsored or endorsed by YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, or Blue Sky. See full terms and rules with the link in the description. So that is our Halloween giveaway. Get yourself entered right away, because that giveaway does end November 1st, and you're going to want to get as many of those entries in as you can to get your best chance of winning one of those amazing prizes. But let's get to the reason we're all here. Rage Across Tampa. Last week, we saw Jester go visit the head of the biker club, Bruce, to check in about the future of the club, especially in the wake of Lucas's departure and Larry's destruction of the bar area with his first change. We also saw Jace go check in with Ravi and the changelings about some developments that have been happening in the fight against the infected and the plants, and he came to learn that the changelings themselves were responsible for the destruction of one of those hives after some of the infected had been seen in the nearby area to their bunker. Aspen and Artie finally were able to track down Larry in the middle of the woods about an hour north of Tampa, and they were able to convince him to return to the Caern, but he said he needed a couple more days to process everything that had happened with the change, and that he would be joining them at the Caern soon to begin his training, his adjustment, his transition into Guru life, whatever that may be. We then saw Aspen and Jester have a conversation with Xander, who was officially introduced to the Sept leader, Xander being a Kamazatz who is dealing with some difficulties, but actually had a lucid moment for his meeting with Aspen, but that lucid moment didn't last very long, as his mental state immediately started to degrade, and he gave in, or started to give in, to the voices in his mind, those being of the bat and the worm. And then finally, Jace tried to get some answers to his suspicions about the Caern from Eliza, and while he learned a great deal, there are always more questions after talking to a stargazer, and he has decided that he is going to take the leap and touch a tree. And I don't mean that in any kind of weird way, because the trees here actually do tell stories in this Caern, and Jace is going to witness one of those stories for himself. So that being said, let's get to our first scene. Jace, after your conversation with Eliza, how are you feeling about everything in regards to the Cairn, and how are you feeling as you're preparing to take this leap and to reach out and touch one of the trees within the Cairn, to have the spirits speak to you, the residents of the Cairn?
The Cairn itself is a place that has a lot of mystery to it. Now, a lot of Cairns in general have power that dwell within. They have this overall presence that's there, but this one's a lot different, and Jace wants to understand that more, especially with everything going on. But that means he's got to open himself up and let someone back into his mind by touching a tree to reveal a story, to let somebody in. And with the current things that have gone on with him, with the possession that's happened, and with the infection that went through his body, the reluctancy to let something else enter his body is there. But he needs to know what's going on. And from what he's heard from the spirits here and from Eliza, the trees are the best way to do it. So with reluctant heart, he's doing it, but he's still apprehensive about it.
So as you ready yourself and prepare, a few days after your conversation with Eliza, you return to the Cairn, having done all of your own personal preparation that you can, having steeled your nerves to this very idea. You arrive at the Cairn one day, Eliza there to greet you. She approaches, says, "So, today's the day. How you feeling about all this?"
Oh, super stoked. Totally ready to get out there and give it my all, or however that cheap shit goes.
So before we get into all of it, I will tell you that no particular tree tells a certain story. The thing you need to know about these trees, these spirits, is they tell you what you need to hear. They tell you a story that's relevant to you. They call upon your inner thoughts, your inner turmoil, and therefore present you with something that will be particularly beneficial or insightful, that may answer some questions and pose some more, but it is for you specifically. And of course, you can share the story. It's not private, it's nothing like that, but it's something meant for you. So while we may both touch the same tree, we may both walk away with different stories to tell. That being said, I'm here just simply to assist and guide you in case you have a particular reaction to this tree, as we have had many tests and others try to learn a great deal. It's still a pretty unknown phenomenon, and therefore it's best to have our wits about us. But that being said, I want you to take a moment, take a deep breath, close your eyes, and open yourself to the spirits of the Cairn. Open yourself to the ancestors of this place. Let them speak to you. Let them call to you and guide you to the tree you're going to entreat with.
He'll take a quick look around, and then he'll get down on his knees and actually grab a handful of dirt and rub it in his hands, and then close his eyes and take a long, deep breath.
Go ahead and give me a wits and occult or insight, depending on your preference.
No Banes, right?
No Banes, not as far as you know.
All right. Rage 1.
Yeah, I would say you're at a rage 1. You're probably feeling pretty... I mean, while you have some hesitancy about this whole thing, it's not enough to get you on edge. You feel pretty confident in everything Eliza's told you to stay rather calm about the ordeal.
4.
With 4 successes, your eyes closed, the earth staining your palms. There are a lot of energies swirling through this place. As in most cairns, there are a lot of spirits that make up the cairn itself, but this place has that raw energy, that raw power that rat told you about. So it's almost overwhelming at first, having silenced your mind and your thoughts, having lowered the walls that tend to block out these sort of things. It comes on as a wave. But with a few moments, you feel a calling. Not in any particular language you understand, or not with any certain words, but you feel yourself being drawn across the clearing, drawn in a particular direction.
We'll stand up, wipe his hands off a little bit, and start letting his spirit, in a sense, guide him to where he needs to go. Not even his feet, just going with the feeling.
So as you follow that tugging sensation, you can feel the presence of Eliza a step behind you as she follows along with you. Very good, Jace. Just let it call to you. You are safe here, I assure you of that. Whatever is beckoning you, allow it. Let it lead you, let it guide you. This place will protect you. As you walk across the clearing, you don't even feel a need to open your eyes. You feel so aware of your surroundings that even if there's any roots or bushes or overgrowth, you just automatically navigate around it. Eventually, you follow the path until you feel the sun overhead almost disappear as you enter into the shade beneath a particular tree. You don't feel the same warmth on your skin. In fact, if anything, it feels a little bit chilly, a little cold as you arrive at the base of the tree. But as you do so, you open your eyes and you find yourself standing beneath one of the larger trees, one of the older trees of this particular grove. It stands easily a good 35, almost 40 feet tall. Its branches reaching out overhead, casting a massive shade down upon you. In fact, there's not even a lot of sunlight that enters in through the breaks in the branches. That's how thick the foliage is overhead. The bark in front of you is old and worn, telling of a long life well lived. In fact, the bark itself looks like wrinkles on an old face with its creases and folds. Some of the bark has chipped off, some of it has just fallen and been replaced by new bark, but a lot of it is still the same ancient bark it seemed to have had for quite some time. You can see a little bit of moss from the massive humidity that this area experiences gathering on one side of the tree. But this is where it leads you. This is where it beckons, and this is where it stops.
Stop at the base of the tree and open his eyes and look up and then back down. Had to pick the biggest one.
Apparently so. They must have something very, very important to tell you.
Uh-huh. Okay,
It's a story,
look-
Jace, not a conversation. All you have to do is open yourself to what they have to say. Allow yourself to listen and learn.
He'll sit down next to it, look at the roots, look back to Eliza. Just have to listen, that's it.
That's the bare minimum.
Yeah, there's always caveats. He'll reach out towards the roots and then slowly raises his hand up to the base of the trunk.
As you feel yourself growing closer and closer, your hand growing closer to the bark, even before it touches, it almost starts to tingle. You feel like pins and needles entering your skin of your palm and up to your fingertips. And as you press your hand to the tree, the world darkens. Day becomes night. Although it's hard to tell, because as you take in your surroundings, you're inside a very roughly put together building made of wood, perhaps a longhouse of sorts or a shack. There's a fire burning in an iron stove, as well as a candle lit upon the handmade wooden table. As you take in your surroundings, you see an old journal laid out in front of you. Also looks like it's handmade, as the outside of the journal appears to be made of some sort of hide, perhaps deer hide, that has been dried and tanned and assembled for this purpose. And the paper is almost yellowed, a parchment style paper. There is a quill pen and a little pot of ink that is out upon the table's surface, and you can already see some writing has taken place into the journal. At first, as you look upon the writing, it is in no comprehensible language you understand, but eventually the text becomes words in your mind read aloud. The voice you hear is that of a very elderly man. And as you look down at your hands, they're wrinkled and old. Taking in the page, it reads, "This may be the last words of the Croatan, the last words of a dying people, soon to be forgotten, erased. As we sit here on land that was stolen from us, forced into the worst parts, forced to survive and not thrive, I have to wonder, what was it all for? Was it even worth it? The sacrifice that we made, the death of our people, did it simply stall the inevitable? Rather than a flood, did it merely turn into a trickle, eventually meant to sweep across the land? The Eater of Souls is gone, and yet they still come. They come and they take, and they consume, and they destroy. Did we win anything? Did we defeat anything? I have made a great many writings, a transcript, a log to put down as much of our knowledge as possible, hoping that our history isn't lost, isn't forgotten. As I look to my children and my grandchildren, I can tell that Gaia's gift is not given to them. I can tell that this truly is the end. As I've watched my brothers, my sisters, my cousins, my kin slowly evaporate one by one into what waits beyond, I can't even begin to understand what I've lost, what we've all lost. It fills me with doubt and fear. It fills me with regret. Turtle's sacrifice, while great, also feels like abandonment. We are alone. I am alone. And while I can look to those that follow, I fear for their future, with no one to protect them. Our people, our legacy, is to be watered down by the invaders, is to be snuffed out. And with no one there to prevent it, we truly are no more. I just one day hope that you read these writings, that someone can hear of our legacy and know of our struggle, know of our loss. That they don't make the same mistake. That they don't go on in error. Sometimes prevention isn't the only cure. Sometimes it just stalls. The world will continue to move on, with or without us. All we can do is make the most of the time that we have while we're here. I hope I can look upon the faces of my pack again. I hope that what waits beyond isn't only darkness. I hope I find my place amongst the ancestors. But none of us can truly know how far that sacrifice goes. Can only believe. And I'm not sure how much belief I have left. What was it for? Was it worth it? I once thought it was. I was raised to believe it was. Now I'm not so sure. As these words are entering your mind and you're reflecting on the thoughts, you see that you had already picked up the pen. And you were almost hearing it as it was written. Eventually, pen is set down again. You look over towards a bunch of hides that are laid out on the floor. You look towards the hand-carved statue of a turtle that sits beside the furs. You feel yourself push up from the seat, slowly walk over towards the furs. You lay down upon them as you have so many times before. This has been your resting spot. And as you reach out and lay your withered and wrinkled hand upon the turtle shell, you feel your vision start to grow fuzzy, start to grow dark. You're tired. So tired. What was it all for? Was it worth it? These are your final thoughts as you feel your breath start to slow, your heart start to slow. As you had lost the gifts of being a guru many years ago, there is nothing to prevent what's coming. Nothing to stop the darkness this time. Taking in one last slow and shallow breath, you close your eyes, your hands still placed upon the turtle statue. And then the world grows quiet. Everything grows quiet and cold. After a moment, you find yourself gasping as you feel like you've been suffocating, as you haven't been breathing. And as your eyes snap open, you find yourself hand placed upon the tree. The sun still acting as a perimeter to the shade of this tree. You feel the warmth of Eliza's hand on your back steadying you.
Take a moment, try to regulate his breathing. Turn around to her. That was I haven't experienced anything quite like that one before.
It's quite overwhelming putting yourself literally in someone else's shoes, especially someone long gone. A different time, a different place.
And then they stop breathing, so that not great either. Wow. He'll look to the tree and slowly pull his hand off of it and look to his own, see if there's any wrinkles or anything on it, seeing that it's his own. I was looking through the eyes of an old man. He was writing on an old piece of parchment within a rundown hut shack. He talked about the sacrifice that Turtle did and questioning if it was worth it. Talked about the flood that was supposed to be stopped, which it was to an extent. They talked about how instead of it just coming all at once, it's now just trickling out. the consumption still happening. This man, he wrote like he had lost everything, faith in it all. With Turtle disappearing and Gaia no longer providing gifts to his people, that was it. Just nothing. After Turtle did what they did, abandonment is what they ended up feeling.
Hirano, Jace. That is Hirano. I know that feeling all too well, as I experienced more years than I care to know in those depths, in those feelings. Hopelessness.
He was just so lost without it all. From the way he wrote, it sounded like he was in it for a long time and then gone. Just in a flash. Nothing.
From what I've gathered, the sacrifice didn't happen immediately. Not all of Turtle's followers disappeared in an instant. It was just that they ceased to make more. No new Croatan were born to this world. None could select Turtle as a patron, for Turtle was not to be found, not to be seen. And slowly, surely, they all died off, one after another. What I'm guessing you witnessed was one of the last.
That's what he said.
What do you think is the lesson from this story?
I feel like there's a few things that can be taken from this. One, leap before you jump, I think is or look before you leap kind of thing. But my thought is elsewhere at the moment. Eliza, what if we bring... Okay. Run with me here for a second. Everything that's happening, Turtle did the sacrifice. Bad things are still coming through. It's still causing the issue. With Turtle where they're at, maybe it's slowed down because Turtle's there. If we bring Turtle back, what if it re-releases the flood?
That is something to be possibly concerned with, but I believe what Turtle did, from the stories I've seen, from what you've relayed and experienced yourself, he banished a great evil with his sacrifice. I do not have reason to believe that his return would bring back that great evil, but I can't be entirely sure, of course. As for the trickle, as for the continuing of the consumption, were it not for Turtle's sacrifice, the great evil that had roamed this world, there'd be nothing left. There'd be no chance to fight. We wouldn't be here. the world as we know it would have ended. What Turtle did was buy us time, provide us an opportunity to fight, an opportunity to continue this war. It was at great cost and great sacrifice. The question does still remain, was the sacrifice out of pride rather than honor? Would Turtle still be here to fight alongside his brothers if he'd allowed all of them to fight together, all of them to make some sacrifice? Or would we have lost 3 patrons that day? I can't say for certain.
Turtle had to know parts of it, but I feel like Turtle didn't know all of it was going to happen the way it did. I knew that, I'm sure they knew the sacrifice had to be made, but I don't think they had to know that all the Croatan would be affected the way that they were.
That's a question only Turtle can answer. But I believe he had to know something. Or else why would he have sent his brothers away? Why would he have stopped the others from fighting? Maybe there was honor, a wish to protect his brothers. For he knew that whatever went up against this force would be lost. Or maybe he laid down upon spikes that they could have all easily crossed over together. But great evils like that are not easily banished. Something must be consumed. But I don't think that's the whole lesson. I think there's a lesson, a cautionary tale about the dangers of losing your will to fight. The dangers of forgetting exactly what we're fighting for. And honoring the sacrifices of others, even if it may affect us in horrible and terrible ways. Because yes, it did continue, but it could have been so much worse.
Honor the sacrifices.
Don't forget and don't regret those that have come before, those that have fallen. Honor them.
The other trees that you've touched, the other Croatan you've seen, did they all experience the ones you've seen something similar?
No. In fact, I've seen a great many things, some from before the sacrifice, some from after, depending on what I needed at the time. I have seen this vision before, perhaps because of my own time spent in that space and to prevent me from ever going back to it. You asked me the question, why do I keep doing this? Why do I fight? I've been asked that question many times. Because I don't want to be there again. I don't want to give up. Because if I do, our chances of victory are that much smaller. I will dishonor the sacrifice of my friends, my companions, my love. And that is a disgrace I can't afford to bear again. One that I have to spend the rest of my days making up for.
You know, dealing with us a lot, I'm sure you're paying your dues.
It's a pleasure and a privilege. And an occasional headache.
You're welcome.
But well worth it. I would take whatever minor and temporary frustrations I'm experiencing now over that feeling of emptiness and nothingness.
I don't want to feel what he felt. It was a feeling that of emptiness, like not your chest, like your entire being, just. And at the end, he laid down, and then he even had a small statue of Turtle, just trying to get a sense of Turtle again. Just even touching that, trying to just fill this void. And there's nothing that could fix that.
It's easy to hyper-focus on a singular thing. A patron, friend, family. But we must remember that all of these things are Gaia, are what we fight for. Turtle only existed because Gaia made him. We all exist because Gaia continues to exist. Focusing on the loss of one is losing sight of the whole. His fight ended because he let it end. While no Croatan may have been born after that, while none may have fallen or followed that path, there were still a great many other paths to follow. A great many others to assist and aid and teach and guide. This secular view that so many guru have, tribe before nation, nation before fight. This is what we as stargazers walked away from. The politics will be the end of us all. And yes, while the patrons have their own motivations and their own reasons to dispute amongst themselves, we have the choice to let it continue or let it divide us, or to see through it and past it.
It's hard to drive that wedge, especially with some of the elders of the nation,
Of course.
to try and get them to realize that they're on a broken path.
Yes. And the nation is shattered for it. Yes, were they grandiose and great once upon a time? Certainly. But that's because they had great leaders. Great guru. To point them in the right direction. Guru of great renown and respect. Those that could see the whole rather than the fractured parts. The elders have lost sight of that. Or maybe never saw it in the first place. And those great guru have passed on. Have made their own sacrifice. And this is what we're left with.
The pieces.
Yes, those that forgot why they sacrificed. Those that honor their sacrifices. Rather than regret them.
They'll look back to the tree and back over. Each time you interact with a tree, it's something different, right?
Yes.
So there's a lot more lessons, and you'll look around to all the other trees. A lot more lessons that need to be taught.
Always. Not always lessons necessarily, but stories. This is how they are not forgotten. Yes, we have the silver record. Yes, we have our own ways of keeping the stories alive, but I have to believe that the Croatan knew that they had foresight to know, not to trust the words of others wholeheartedly, but to experience it for yourself. That's one of the greatest gifts this place has given. Their sacrifice, preventing them from the beyond, allows us to continue on with their knowledge. And one day, be the bringers of knowledge ourselves for the next that continue the fight.
This guy that I was witnessing, he wrote everything down in a journal so that way what he knew would be passed along. The likelihood that journal's still around pretty slim to none, huh?
Depends. It is quite possible that the record could still exist. The question is where. Just because you saw the vision here does not mean it is here.
Right. Yeah. I was going to say, it looked like a wooded area, but to me, they all look like woods. So, and last I was witnessing, he laid down and that was it. So I don't know what happened to it from that point.
Well, if he had any left in his line or his legacy, they probably carried it on until today or until it was lost. As these records often are.
Thank you for being here for the first one.
I'll be here whenever you wish me to.
And when I don't, I'm sure the urge thing, you'll feel it, and then nature will come over you. And
Well, I'm not much of the going out type. This is where I spend my time, so yes, I'll always be nearby.
I'm sure I'll be doing this again. Because now that Pandora's box been opened, and now I'm very curious on the rest of it.
It is very tempting after the first time. How
Any side
much can you
effects?
learn? No, not that I've witnessed personally. If anything, I feel more attuned. I think that the one thing that you have to be mindful of is losing your sense of self. You are experiencing the lives firsthand of those that came before. You are transporting yourself to a completely different time. If you hold on too tight to those visions, if you get too involved, you may forget that you are just a witness and not the individuals themselves. It is a mighty power. But power, as they often say, corrupts. Even this power.
I'll be careful as much as I can with it. But if it's a way that I can understand this place better, and Turtle's sacrifice even more so, I'm going to be spending more time here. So
It's not just this place. There are stories from all over the world, primarily up the eastern coast, but any Croatan who tied themselves to this power. They lived lives. They had experiences. Just like you and I.
I look forward to experiencing those. Hopefully my next one's not nearly as sad though. Although I don't get a choice in the matter.
Well, there's always going to be a hint of tragedy with all of it. Knowing their
Especially
fate.
the Croatan. Yep.
But honor the sacrifice. Honor that it was their choice. Their choice to bind themselves to this place for their stories to continue to be told. Their choice to sacrifice. It's easy to say Turtle subjected them to this fate. But by being followers of Turtle, they put their faith in his power, in his decisions. And while this particular vision showed regret, I assure you there are countless others who wouldn't have changed a thing. This one was particularly important for you, for a reason that I'm sure will eventually reveal itself. Whether it's years from now, it's a cautionary tale for us all.
I'll keep it to heart. And knowing that you went through something similar for years, it brings it a lot closer to heart than you'll look to the tree, no offense, than their story.
I wouldn't wish that fate upon anyone, Jace. For I let down all of my protections, all of my shields, and the Banes found their way in. If it weren't for your pack, I would have been lost.
He'll grab her hand. Well, I'm glad they got you.
As am I. And I'm glad they have you. They are unusual. Not what you'd expect from Guru. Definitely not traditional nation. But if they can show you, that gives me hope that they can show others. And perhaps you can help them show others that the path they walk is a broken path. A prideful path.
I'm happy to provide them with the tools to show the nation the errors of their way. But as a rat, not really one for the spotlight.
You don't have to be. There are going to be other rats who I'm sure will look to you to see the truth of it all.
Love to give them my perspective and tell them how wrong they are. It's one of my favorite things to do.
And I'm sure you're going to be amazing.
We'll see. I'll tell you all about it when it happens, or how much of a shit show it turns into be.
Fair enough.
Caution, and then just respect those who sacrifice. And be wary of the thoughts you have. Okay.
This war will be the death of us all. Anyone who says otherwise is fooling themselves. But it is not in vain, no matter how hopeless it may seem, because it allows the war to continue. We may not see the end of it, not in a way we'd like. But as long as the fight continues, there is hope that there will be an end. There is hope that balance will be restored. There's hope for Gaia.
It's got to repave the path.
Or just show others where to walk. This path is overgrown, certainly. Or maybe we're even making a new path ourselves.
With this pack, I have no doubts. Pretty sure I've told you when I heard about the guru of Tampa, Florida, Myri was not overly thrilled to be meeting any of you. one, it's Florida, and I heard tons of stories about Florida. Then you add Guru, and none of you are what I expected. Aspen, I really thought was just going to be walking around with a stick up her ass the entire, and sometimes she does, but that's just when she has to. But her leadership and the way that she goes about things really puts this vision she has in the way she structures things, the way that she listens to people. It's not anything I'm really used to. And speaking of listening, Jester listens very well, almost as well as you do.
She had a good teacher.
Yeah, that the fire in her is Charles is constantly flaming that one, and Charles I was not expecting at all. And Artie's growing on me. And Lucas, we had our fun moments. But I am grateful for being here and you all allowing me to witness what you guys are doing down here.
Of course. Let this knowledge sink in, but not too deep. Remember it as a story, but that's what it is. A story, a lesson, a warning. But let it sit with you for a while. Because it also is a tool that you can use.
I'll just, if you're right, I'll sit here for a little bit and ponder on everything.
Take your time. So as you sit in the shade of the tree, thinking about the story you've been told, still feeling some of the residual feelings of loss, of regret, of emptiness. What's going through your mind after this entire experience?
The whole experience itself was not what he was expecting. The idea of watching things, he was thinking from like an above kind of camera view, not a going into someone's body and feeling everything that he did. And the lesson that's here as far as honoring the sacrifice, remembering it and not letting it go to waste. He's sitting there contemplating if there's anything that he has just pushed to the wayside that he's not honoring completely, to not fall into that despair that this older Croatan fell into.
And with that, we transition to our next scene. We find ourselves at the cairn, everyone having been called together for an emergency meeting. As everyone arrives and takes their places at the table, Artie is standing and pacing a little nervously at one end of the table close to Aspen. There is a definite tension in the air, more so than usual, as well as a great deal of anxiety. As everyone comes together and takes their seats, go ahead and the scene is yours.
Aspen will kind of nervously tap on the table, looking over to Artie and waiting for everybody to take their seats.
Jace will make his way over to his seat and pull it out and sit down, kind of looking, seeing all the nervousness going around.
Jester will glance about and take the seat.
Aspen will look over at everyone. It seems that we've got some new information, some important information regarding the mines. We know that it was supposed to be dealt with and taken care of over the last week or so, but Artie has recently found out some information, and I think it's pertinent for everyone to know.
Artie stops his pacing and grabs the edge of the table. So, as I'm sure everybody knows, it's been a few weeks since the mission to the mines was supposed to take place, and I've been keeping tabs on everything that's been happening up there as best as I possibly can, but honestly, it's not looking good. In fact, it's looking very, very bad. I think that the mission may have failed. I have tried to reach out to all of my contacts up there and have heard nothing. Not even been able to get through. And the news reports coming out of Michigan are saying that there was a equipment malfunction and a cave-in at the mines. That the mines were shut down for several days. Well, I also received word that the mines have resumed operations. And not in a way that I was expecting. The representatives of the organization up there have been very misleading about everything that happened. And the way things are being discussed, the way things are being dealt with, smell of a cover-up. It smells of Pentex or perhaps something more. And the lack of information coming out of Michigan leads me to believe that something bad happened. Now, I'm hoping that it just means that they called off the mission, but I'd hope they'd let me know. Let us know somehow. They even went so far as to open the moon bridge and go up to Michigan just to see the state of their cairn, and it is completely empty. No one is there. So they have not returned back to their own cairn yet.
Was the mine originally run by Pentex?
There were there was a variety of companies involved. I can't find the direct connection between them and Pentex, but something stinks of their influence.
Okay.
Even just watching the news and the reports, I even looked at some satellite images overhead of the mines. It doesn't look good. In fact, there was a complete satellite blackout of the mines for at least a week after the day the attack was supposed to take place. And based off of what they were negotiating for, they don't have anybody with that kind of power or influence on their team up there. Nobody with my abilities to be able to do that.
I take it, since this is new, the Hellhounds don't know.
I didn't want to panic them. I didn't want to worry them unnecessarily, as I know that these things can take time, that after operations, sometimes they have to lay low to make sure that things are stable and controlled in the situation. But with the immediate response from the mines, with the immediate cover story, satellite blackout, now I'm just wondering if anyone survived. But no, the Hellhounds as a whole don't know.
There hasn't been any communication to anyone.
No, in fact, I've even gone so far as to look into try and break into cell phone records from the numbers that I did have of people up there. No calls have been made coming in or out. In fact, I can't even track the cell phones. They're all dead or shut off. They are
Maybe.
laying very low if they are laying low.
If things went badly, that might be what they're doing.
That's
And
what
they
I've been
managed to.
hoping. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, if they're still alive, I know after what happened to me and the power thing, I immediately got rid of my cell phone and got like a burner phone. So
And that would be all well and good, but I haven't even received calls from unknown numbers. Nobody
Might be
has
too-
tried to contact.
might be too dangerous if they feel like they're being watched.
Could be, but it's been 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Someone would have reached out.
And I'm not sure how much longer we can wait. I already feel the pups getting anxious.
I wonder if there's a possibility of having a pack near the area go in and check and see what they might have seen or heard or what they can find out.
That's the problem. Most of the packs near the area were involved. The Wisconsin Sept, the Ohio Sept. If there's anyone else in that area, I don't know who to reach out to or go to. Anybody would have to go a good distance to investigate. And at that point, are we just putting them in further risk?
Artie, are you able to trace phone numbers from here?
Not from here specifically. I have to go where there's an actual internet connection and not the middle of the
No, that's
fucking nowhere, but
fair.
yeah, I can.
I'll be right back. And he'll get up and leave.
As Artie watches Jace leave, Charles just sits staring at the top of the table with a pensive look on his face. Eliza just looks kind of up to the sky and the stars up above. Go ahead.
Look to Aspen and Charles and Artie. So I don't have a way to find out, but like, what should we do next?
Well, I think we need to do several things. At this point, I would assume we don't have iron coming from Michigan. Or at least we have to act like we don't until we hear otherwise.
Yeah.
We also have to do everything in our power to stop the pups from running up there to try and find out what happened. If they catch wind of the news or if they investigate on their own, they're not going to like what they see and they're going to react as they have been known to react.
Is there any way we could find out others that may know Red or anyone else up there and see if they've heard from them or seen them?
I don't know a lot about them, but one of the things that I've come to learn is that they were a very almost xenophobic sept. In fact, I think that's one of the only ways we were able to get them to help in any of this was because they aren't fond of the nation as a whole. But that would be Matthias and his dealings. He knows, he set up the whole thing and made contact with them first. So, but I don't know. I don't know if they had any other allies. They had mentioned the Wisconsin sept. They had made contact with the Ohio sept, but those were their neighbors. It makes sense that they had some sort of leads there, but beyond that,
What about those septs? Would they have anybody that they're connected with?
I can reach out to the other septs closer to that, but it's just going to be a goose chase, a wild goose chase, and honestly, I'm not even sure they're going to want to talk to us. I made a few friends, a few connections out there on my little walkabout, but not a lot. So even trying to get a hold of them is going to be, it's going to take a lot of time.
I can.
Oh,
Go ahead.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
I can speak to Matthias and see what connections he has around the area, but I think we need concrete answers of what's going on with them, because eventually, like you said, the hellhounds are going to get anxious, and we have to say something.
Glance to where Jace went, not just the hellhounds.
Yeah. Speaking of Jace, where are you going?
Heading out to the road, more where he's gotten cell service in the past along that main strip, trying to see if he can get any bars whatsoever.
It's spotty at best, but eventually you are able to get maybe 2 out of the 4 bars.
First, try calling Olivia and see if she picks up.
Go straight to voicemail.
We'll try calling Kat, see if anything there.
Also straight to voicemail.
And then last, he'll give the big guy a call, called Denton.
Denton also goes straight to voicemail.
He'll look down at the phone, hand shaking, look back towards the direction of the Caern, and look to his bike, the one that Denton gave him. Take his phone and throw it, get onto his bike, and drive off.
As you leave, the thoughts, the panic starting to enter your body. Go ahead and give me a composure and resolve.
Rage?
I would say you're at a 2 now.
Can I spend will?
Yeah. Actually, no, this is a willpower check, basically, so no. One success. Okay, yeah, the panic definitely takes over and you do flee. You don't have any impulse to turn back. You just go. Meanwhile, back in the cairn, Charles finally speaks up. It's going to make things more complicated.
Absolutely.
This is also going to make our deal with the leeches our only source.
All the more reason to get that figured out. I just don't know how long we wait with no answers before we get the answers somehow, some way.
I can keep trying. I mean, that's what I've been doing. I didn't even want to say anything to all of you until it had been long enough. I'd kind of set a time limit on myself to say, don't freak out before this point. But 2 weeks is a long time to go without any word, any contact, anything. And with that blackout, with all of it, it just, I couldn't wait anymore.
What about the spirits?
Eliza,
can't-
oh, go ahead.
It's like if we can't find out through normal means, they might know. Somebody might know.
Well, Eliza says, it's not as simple as reaching out to one of the spirits in the area. I don't know them well. I can't say I've ever lived in Michigan or know much about Michigan, but much like making contact with an individual, it would take time. You could talk to your patrons, especially any patrons you have in common with those up there, but you have to remember that the patrons come as avatars of the patron, not the patron themselves. And their knowledge may be limited. And even so, they may not give a direct answer. They very rarely do. But it's not impossible. Go ahead.
I think we're stuck in a difficult decision because we don't have the manpower here to go looking and figuring out what's happening over there. But I feel like we owe them. We did ask them to do this after all.
We could investigate. We could send, apprehensive as I am, we could send Charles and perhaps the Hellhounds up to investigate. At least they'd have a babysitter to keep them from doing anything stupid, someone who could put them in the box if they need to. But I also am still very hesitant to send anyone up there. If 3 septs were taken out by whatever this is, it's huge. As you all sit and contemplate and sit in silence, letting all of this soak in, roll me a wits and awareness, Aspen and Jester. Jace, you are gone. You are driving.
What rage are we at?
2, for sure.
Okay.
2 successes from Aspen. 4 from Jester. Jester, you're the first to notice it first as the clearing begins to get brighter, as if the moon is shining fuller and stronger. Eventually, light pours in an almost centered area, about 5 feet across, near the hearth. Artie jumps to his feet. The moon bridge is opening. Charles, without a moment's notice, turns into his hispo form and moves to the edge of the table in a defensive stance, growling towards the light pooling on the ground.
I'll stand up and move between Aspen, Artie, and the moon bridge, hand
Oh.
on my clave.
I'll look to Eliza and kind of eye to the RV so that she's more that direction in case things get interesting.
She nods and begins to move. As the light pools, it starts to grow brighter, and almost as if the fabric of reality is opening, the light becomes blindingly bright. A gateway opens, still very, very bright beyond the gateway. So bright you almost have to shield your eyes. But eventually 2 silhouettes come into view, leaned heavily on each other, so much so that they look like a 4-legged creature of sorts. Hard to make out any details. But after several moments, they pull themselves through. Charles lets out a bark and a growl angrily. But as the light of the portal closes and fades, retreating back to the moon from whence it came, 2 figures stand in the firelight. One of them is a man with a graying beard that none of you recognize and have encountered before. He is a bloody mess. In fact, it was hard to tell he had graying hair because there is blood in his beard and in his hair. And the most notable feature is that he's missing an arm, completely burned away and removed from his body. He slumps down to the ground, being released by the other figure who is carrying him, a smaller, more fragile framed individual, a sinewy individual who you all immediately recognize is Stakes Her Claim. Her clothes are completely bloodied. Her hair is a frazzled mess, and there is blood on her face. And as she looks over in your direction, you notice a void on one side of her face as a red, pitted out hole is burned into one of her eyes. She also drops to her knees, settling back on her heels near Sean. The gray-haired man collapsed on the ground.
I'll cautiously approach them.
You see, looking over the man, he's barely clinging to consciousness. But Stakes sits there with a very dull and numbed expression, almost a blank expression on her face. You can tell, looking her over, actually roll me a wits and insight.
Uh, 5 successes with a crit.
Looking her over, it looks like she has not slept in days, possibly longer. She's tired. She's beaten up terribly, and she looks like she has sustained a great deal of physical damage herself, that there's cuts and burns on her body, but she looks almost hollow at the moment.
Um,
Go ahead.
I'm gonna turn to Artie and can you grab rags with something? And she's gonna run over to where Stakes is and get down, kneel on the ground next to her.
I'm gonna kneel next to Sean and then look to Eliza. I think he needs help now.
Eliza nods and makes her way over and starts to examine Sean. Stakes just looks at the ground for a long while before turning to look at you, with the one eye making eye contact with you, the other a ruined pit that seems to have scarred over pretty dramatically. They're all gone.
What happened? What?
We were ambushed. Midway through the assault, and everything was going well. Wolves and men. An army, easily twice our number, entered into the canyon. I was in one of the mines when an explosion went off, caused the mine to collapse, and I was trapped. When I came to, I dug my way out and I found Sean. But when we got out, everyone was dead. We had to stay hidden in the mines for a while as there were patrols, guards. I think they might have been dancers.
She says that shock is across Aspen's face, and she's just going to, just so she has something to focus on, is just going to examine the eye and make sure that there's no immediate, like, injury that could become problematic.
Give me a wits and medicine.
That's another 2.
There aren't any pressing injuries that you can tell at this time, but from the state of the injuries, this is natural healing that took place, not regeneration for the most part. There are lingering wounds from old cuts, but they've mostly scabbed over or scarred over. There are definitely burns scorching on this side of the face and eye, which makes it seem that it's probably either going to take a long time to regenerate, even if it can at all. But there are no pressing injuries at this time.
Dancers, how do you know? How do you know, though?
Just a feeling. They didn't fight like Fenris. They didn't fight like any of ours. They fought ruthlessly and recklessly as if they didn't care about their own lives. And the destruction. They killed everyone and everything.
Realization comes across Aspen's face, and she looks over at Jester.
Look up from watching Eliza tend to Sean. Look to Aspen. He did say they were. Vanessa brought them in, right?
Yeah.
They're all gone. Red was on the ground, skin completely torn off. There were so many bodies, so much blood in the air.
I'm going to move to sit near Stakes and just gently just put a hand on her shoulder.
Your hand first makes contact, she flinches, but eventually, seeing that it's you, settles and lets you place the hand there. They stacked so many dead and we're burning them. I don't know if anyone made it out. I can't imagine they did. They came from all sides. They swarmed. We barely made it out. We had to sneak over several days. Then I hid in the back of a truck that was headed south. We hitchhiked our way as best as we could without anyone noticing so we could get to the cairn. And Sean, she looks over at Sean's now unconscious form. He opened the bridge with all that he had left.
Were you followed? Did anybody come with you? Is there anyone else? Are you sure they weren't with you?
Nobody was with us. That's why it took so long. I wanted to be sure.
She'll yell over, Artie!
He's returning with ripped fabric and cloth as well as a first aid kit. Yeah.
Spirals and Moonbridge, they said they weren't followed. I don't know.
Okay. I can sever the connection. I can break the bridge from here. They might make attempts, but they shouldn't be able to get a firm read if I remove and destroy their pathstone. But that means we can't go back either. It's closed. It's over.
Look at Stakes, if what she said's right, I think that might be a good thing.
Also means we're trapping any other survivors over there. If there are any, they won't have a way back. They'll have to do it the old-fashioned way.
I don't think we can risk it.
He nods as he drops the first aid kit as well as the bandages, and then moves over to the hearth, going to a specific rock and picking it up. And moving. He takes the rock and moves away from the fire. And begins chanting under his breath over the stone. Stakes resumes looking at the ground. There won't be any others.
We don't know that for sure. We'll have something there just in case they show up.
I know it. There aren't any others. Any that still lived were taken. If any at all.
We've got to get you cleaned up. Let's just get you sat, and she'll kind of lift her up.
She's like a bag of bricks lifting her up. She's just almost dead weight. You can feel all of her exhaustion. You can feel all of her pain, but you can also feel all of her emptiness. Go ahead, Jester.
I'll help Aspen if she's dead weight, because I know that can be an issue. And just murmuring, like, just soothing things to Stakes.
Start to move Stakes away. Eliza remains hunched over Sean. Charles, still in his hispo form, stays nearby Eliza, sniffing and not really growling, not really making any noises, but still just taking stock, even moving over towards the pool of where the pool of light had formed and smelling the area over there. As you almost near the RV, you hear the sounds of almost like a rock being smashed and crumbling as Artie destroys the pathstone. This is where we'll go to break. We'll be back in just a few minutes with the second half of tonight's story. Welcome back. As we return in the second half, we find ourselves at the bar known as the Split Helm in downtown Tampa near the docks. Jester, after you were finally able to get stakes settled with Aspen, she almost passed out immediately as soon as she was put somewhere to rest. She reverted back to her lupus form, the same cavernous gouge where her eye should be. A horrifying thing to be witnessed, for sure. In fact, upon further examination, you can tell that it was cauterized. With that said, Jace doesn't return to the cairn, and you decide you need to find him, to check on him, to update him on what's occurred. Though you might not have to say much, as there's nothing really good to say at this moment. But you jump on your bike, you take off, going to the first place you would hope to find him. Lucky for you, when you arrive, you see his bike outside. The bar is closed, but there are a couple of lights on inside, showing the presence of someone being there. You go to use your keys to unlock the door to get in, but the door's just unlocked. Almost careless insecurity. Almost as if someone had one thing on their mind. But as you enter into the Split Helm, what does she find, Jace?
It looks normal. She does see the broken down tables, the refurbished overall bar. But at the bar itself, there is a rucksack that's sitting on one of the chairs that's open. There's a bedroll on there. There's a few canteens. And then in the back, you hear more of like lockers and things being opened and closed, and just kind of rummaging happening in the back.
I'll move to the bar. Sit down. Wait.
Eventually comes out with clothing and a few other necessities and canned foods and stuff. Like, oh, hi. Sorry, I meant to say something. But, they're not answering the phones. I tried calling them. There's absolutely nothing. There's only, and he's running over to the pack, stuffing it. There's only a few places they could go. There's a few places they could go to ground if something did happen. If I can just utilize the thing that Artie was working on, it should only be gone like 2-3 days. I can find them and I can get you guys some updates. And then when I get back, then we can progress. I have an idea of where they could be. I just have to get there to verify that they're fine. And you continue just trying to pack the bag.
Jace, sit down.
What?
Sit down.
Take a deep breath and take a seat.
I'll get up, go behind the bar, grab a bottle of alcohol, 2 glasses, set him down. For tonight only. This isn't going to be a habit. After you left, Stakes came through the portal with another of her pack. She told us that when they were during the mission, they were attacked by men and wolves. She's pretty sure they were dancers. They were the only two to escape. And she says that if any others survived, they were taken.
If she made it, there are damn well other ones that made it too. Nothing against stakes, but
you want pour in one of the glasses and push it towards him. You were just gonna go off on your own? Run to the rescue?
not one of my smartest plans, but I need to do something. The
Get
not
some-
knowing, and then they didn't answer their phones, already saying there's no activity on them. Made me think that maybe they had to go to ground. Stakes could be wrong.
She could be. And we could look into it together. If they weren't at the places you thought they would be, what would you do?
I'd keep looking and try other places.
Until you got to the mine? And possibly got yourself killed or taken? Especially if it's Pentex?
The mine would have been the last place I would have looked. Probably wouldn't even gotten too close.
I get it, you know.
Do you have you lost like this?
Yeah. Not pack per se, but they were my friends. And first mission we really did here. Attacking some vampires. Leeches at a power place. They traced it back to my friends. And Bateman had them arrested and labeled as terrorists, along with me, but I wasn't arrested. And they were in prison for so long, and I felt so fucking helpless because there wasn't anything I could do. If I did go and turn myself in, it'd lead them straight to the pack. And eventually it got to the point where Ryder, he was a Garu here, he gave me an opportunity to do a prison break with him. Just me and him. No one else. No time to tell anyone else. You go immediately. And I took it because I was desperate. And Ryder ended up dead.
I'm sorry about Ryder.
More saying running off alone isn't the best option.
I get that, but you get the feeling, and
That you have to do something now.
the more I wait, and if there is someone there, that's less chance they're going to have down the road.
Okay. We had to sever the tie on the moon bridge to the Hell Sept. If they were, Stakes was pretty sure they weren't pursued, but even if they weren't, if they got back to the Sept, it could come to they could come to us. But
Are you telling me the fast way to get there's gone?
yeah,
Can I do a composure roll?
Sure can. Composure and resolve.
Rage 2.
I would say you're probably at a 3 now. You have been ramping up.
Still can't burn a will.
Nope.
2.
You're not going to fly off the handle about it, but it is not good news. This definitely puts a kink in your plan, and even trying to calculate how long it'd take you to get there, it'd be at least 17 hours no sleep.
Here Knight's gonna grab the glass and just slam it back down. They shut it because worried about people following through. Okay. Yeah, others like those who could still be alive following through. There's that aspect of things.
Stakes was certain no one else made it out. She waited. That's why it took them so long to get back. She waited to see if others had made it out. I'm willing to go with you if you want.
It's gonna take a while to drive there now. Like a while. And if we straight shot it, that's at least 1 day without sleep. And I, in good faith, couldn't necessarily take you away from here.
But you're willing to take yourself.
I am one who has not been fighting here nearly as long as you have. And you're one who can actually fight. So there's that. And yes, I have a home here, but that's my original pack. And feel stuck. Being trying to. I had a lesson not too long ago, very, very recently, about honoring people and what they have done. And at the time when it was being told, it's easy to agree with. to say,
But
yeah, that makes sense.
it's harder to put in practice.
Yeah, yeah.
You do know that physically fighting isn't the only way to fight, right?
Correct. But if you're saying that with the things that are going on here, it's been a lot more physical. Not that what happened up there isn't.
Okay, but we wouldn't be anywhere without you. You found out about the changelings and all of that. Otherwise, we'd just be blindly fighting.
I hear you. I do.
What's your plan?
Uh, Jace itself wants to leave. The urge me is telling me to stay put and deal with the problems that are here. So my plan currently is to sit here and drink, and at that point he'll grab it and down it.
Down my drink and then pour more. If you did go, what would your plan be?
We're up in Michigan, and they'd go somewhere reclusive, somewhere that not a lot of people would travel to. They could get back to Columbus. There's a lot of places they could get to. Michigan itself, I don't know a whole lot about, but I've been kind of drawn to slums in general. He'll kind of gesture to his bar. So I'd check in those places. Fire Tongue and Sludge Fist, that they'd probably get there first, scout the places out. They'd leave little messages to let others know where they've been.
Would they do that if they were being pursued by dancers?
They're really subtle little things. Other people would see them as garbage, trash along the side somewhere, but set up in a way to let those passing by know. It's something that Olivia instructed. She's a smart one.
How would the people passing by know? Would it be something preset? Like, is there something preset that you know?
In a way, there's natural configurations that the way things fall down, things that like trash piles itself. But it looks a little more organized. A lot of people won't recognize it right away. Those who are more inclined to those areas will pick up on it. Not saying that it's the perfect system, but it is a trail.
Okay.
And if Kat is still with them, she could leave signs as far as in the Umbra, something to pick up on.
So where were you going to start? If you weren't going to go to the mine, where were you going to start?
It's going to start from their sept, then follow the trail and go from there. Because if there's no one being at the sept or at the Cairn itself is strange. go there, I check with the spirits, engage with them, and see if they know anything about what's going on. I don't know those spirits, so I don't know if they really want to work with me too well, but I try to appease to their better nature and then go from there. Like I said, my plan wasn't the best, but once I got there, I was more gonna kind of just go with the flow of how the spirits really, I was really kind of banking on spirits helping me out, actually.
I'd asked Eliza about that after you left. She said maybe, but they're not exactly forthright with information they give.
Yeah. It's kind of how they are here, too.
I think she meant in general, honestly. Just spirits in general.
That's a fair point.
I'm pretty sure the one that Stakes brought back, Sean, I think he's the Theurge. But he's pretty bad off, man. He's missing an arm. And he looked like he was a hair's breadth from dying. So I don't know when you'd be able to talk to him to get any information. Stakes, we were able to talk to Stakes, but she's still pretty bad off too. She's resting last time I checked.
So we're at waiting. I don't know if you've caught this about me, but I'm not a very patient individual.
I understand. It is terrible waiting and not knowing.
If you did come with me up there, you know, your other half wouldn't be too far behind, right?
Depends.
Depends. I think taking you to the Deep Umbra and then taking you to Michigan, I think you might have some feelings about that.
Oh, he'd have feelings, but it really depends on if he was ordered to stay here or not. And we're not leaving from here. We're going to talk to Aspen and everybody about it because this is spirals, man. A lot of spirals and Pentex. They're in this together. Three steps. 3 steps were taken out.
Some of the most renowned physical fighters I've ever met were from there. And if what you're saying is true, then I agree with your caution.
Jace, I get it.
Hmm.
I get it. And yeah, if you are adamant on going to try to find out if to try to find them, to search for them across an entire state you don't know for little clues. I just don't want to lose you too, man.
Too stubborn to die. Already tried once. I had the blood drawn from my body, remember?
You also had an entire pack around you.
It did.
We kind of suck alone. We're better in packs.
I don't foresee Aspen allowing this. You know her better than I do, but just from what I've seen and the things that are going on here, leaving the place you're supposed to defend to go help out a possibility of survivors, a chance, even if it's Pentex and Spirals. Fuck,
She wouldn't order you to stay. It's being around Aspen and Charles long enough. It's not the best idea for the Sept altogether. Okay, you know what? No, it's a fucking terrible idea for the Sept altogether. Dividing us up, especially if we don't even know if this attack was connected to what we're doing down here. And if it is, because there was rumors of dancers being involved with Vanessa, we could be going into a trap. Or they could just be cutting all our support off. But I wouldn't say
if you,
she'd say no completely. Especially if we presented it in a certain way. Charles would absolutely say no completely.
no,
But
that sounds like him.
he's not alpha though. She is.
I just don't know what to do. I truly don't. Bringing this up to Aspen sounds like a big ask. And then having to leave it back up to me by her not saying no or saying yes. Jester, if you're in my shoes, what would you do? Your pack back home just got attacked. They're all most likely dead and unsure. They're supposed to be providing resources to you. That's been gone. That's lost. 2 survivors that aren't from your pack have come back saying no one else is alive. But you know your pack. There's a chance.
Can't say exactly. Our packs aren't the same. My pack, my Sept in Colorado, is big on honoring the sacrifices and the deaths of the others. So be a bit different, but I'd start with Artie. See what information Artie could get. Maybe talk to spirits like Rat, see what they know. Old me would have run off, but that's old me. Things are different now. I'd give as much information as I could before leaving.
Younger me would have kept this pack well packed and not unpacked it. Have you met Rat?
Yeah.
I mean, other than outside, like the meetings and stuff. Like, how'd you had like a sit down with him?
I owe Rat a favor.
Oh, you're the one. That's unfortunate.
Thought it might have been you, but then he told me it wasn't you, so.
Nah, he doesn't deal like that.
Oh no, he just said one of his would ask for something, and I was gonna have to go through with it, help them out. So yeah, I've talked to Rat. Rat's pretty cool.
He has his moments. He can be a real ass too.
He's Rat, of course he can.
Yeah. Jester, why did you come?
To Florida or to the bar
No,
tonight?
to the bar tonight.
Because you deserve to know what we found out, and no one needs to be alone in times like this. It's when it gets you the worst. The hole that just sucks everything in. I'll pour another drink.
By the way that you're pouring these, I'm not driving anywhere tonight. Alternative motives. I'm smart. When you had your friends taken and you found out where they were at and then an opportunity was provided, you jumped at it. You're saying in this current situation, you're not saying no to that, but you're advising get more information before just jumping in.
Yeah.
So, look before you leap. Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah. Definitely.
Fucking Eliza.
She's sneaky like that. She did send me here. She's just sneaky with saying shit.
Mom sent you? I'm not surprised.
She did not. Mom is tending to a damn near dead Garu. She's a little busy right now.
Okay.
No, I came here because I know.
I'm glad you did. I didn't really have a plan, apparently. I was just gonna drive up there and really bank on someone just giving me some information.
Panic and desperation tend to have you make rash
Uh,
decisions.
I'm angry. I'm sad. I'm
Scared.
scared.
Yeah, I know. Sucks. Sucks feeling powerless. Sucks when the people you really care about might be hurt and you can't do anything about it.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. There's when you were having to deal with this, what did you do? How'd you get past it? I'm not expecting it to be gone in like a day or an hour or anything like that.
Get past the desperation.
Get past the impulse to just go.
I didn't have an opportunity, but when I took the opportunity, and we did save them, but Ryder ended up dead. And I've kind of had to live with that ever since. I mean, honestly, the whole Ryder situation was really complicated. Aspen was really mad, like really, really like screaming at. We screamed at each other for like a good hour after it happened when she found out. And then she didn't talk to me for like 2 weeks, and I was basically grounded.
You were
She sicked.
grounded?
Yeah. She sicked Aiden on me. Which means I had like a Lupus Aroon jailer for weeks. Wasn't allowed to leave the last place we had the camper for a while. I didn't really want to anyways, so it didn't matter. But as punishment, she had me eat a flower grown by his tree spirit, a very powerful tree spirit that I got to relive Ryder's memories of losing his entire sept. Problem was, I think everybody thought that would be the end of it, but Ryder kind of stuck around, and I always had his memories and his emotions for months.
You had a lingering just with you?
He gave me the clave before he died, having me carry on his legacy. And that and the weird spirit flower, and he came back as a ghost and kind of hung around. Till at some point it was hard to determine what part was me and what part was him, at least on the edges of things. But he chose to do it that way because he wanted that to be his redemption. I told him he was sick. He had pretty much fallen to Hoglosk. I told him we could find a way to help him, but he would have to put in the effort. And at that point, he decided that was what he was going to do. So, you know, I learned that
Yeah,
in the time.
the shit you go through.
It's not even half of it.
I don't doubt that at all.
He moved on, though. After we killed Mary, she's the one that killed him. His sept. His girlfriend. So, after we got rid of her, he was able to move on. But focus on the things you can do. That's how I didn't go crazy in the months of them being in prison, and I'm not able to do anything, but focus on what you can do. And if it's towards finding out what happened to them, even better. But running off on your own doesn't do anyone good, especially when you don't really have a plan. You have to think about if you did find them, don't know what state they're going to be in. What are you going to do then?
Like I said, I hadn't really gotten that far. I was really Caern was where I was thinking. I will check with Artie, see what he can give me. Maybe I'll talk with Dakes or you said Sean?
Mm-hmm.
Just talk with them, see what they can tell me.
Yeah, I think that might be a good idea. If they are laying low, I know you're like time is of the essence, but I think you might be all right to wait a few hours.
I gotta get a new phone before I can really do any of that anyways. I'm through mine and I don't know where it went. I was upset, okay? I could have thrown it down and tried squishing it with my shoe, but throwing it seemed more effective. I'd probably go find it. I can just buy a new one.
We'll get a new one. You could probably get one from Artie.
Probably should get one from Artie in general. I mean, his glass walker ass. Get me a pretty good one.
Hold mine up. Trace protections. After all, I'm a wanted terrorist.
And now I'm harboring a terrorist in my place of business, and I've
Yeah.
employed said terrorist. It's fine. I'm sure we have all kinds of walks of life come through here. Some of the patrons here, they could be terrorists too. I don't know.
Oh, some of the patrons are terrorists. The
Fair.
bikers.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's the terrorist bar now. Cool.
Yep.
So with tension settled, at least enough to prevent anyone from doing anything rash, what's going through your mind with everything that's occurred tonight? Let's start with Jace.
Realizing that he didn't have a plan at first was very off-put with Jester being here. And with the words that they provided enough clarity to keep him stationary where he's at. But his mind is elsewhere, trying to figure out the best way to get the information about his pack back home. But with the stories that Jester has provided, and just a few days prior with the Croatan and the Council of Eliza, it's pushing forward on honoring sacrifices, and the stories that Jester just brought up about Ryder and she's honoring his sacrifice is keeping him more grounded.
Jester.
So many things. Aside from the sadness at the loss of all these seps and what Jace is going through and what Stakes is going through and what Sean's probably going through. And the fear and the worry that that group of dancers could be focused here, and knowing that threat is very real. There's also mixed with this weird, surreal feeling when I was talking to Jace of seeing myself from a year and a half ago in the same position. But I'm glad that he's not going to run off and leave, because it sucked to lose someone else again. And then in the very back of my brain is the thought and the disappointment and a little bit of annoyance that our only source of iron is fucking Bateman.
And with that, our story comes to a close this evening, but not without two final scenes. Our first scene takes us to a field outside of Tampa. As the sun sets and the moon rises, from the ground, several creatures start to emerge, seemingly human, but we all know better that they are not, as the growths that distend from their bodies, the extra limbs, the horrifying and barbaric creations that they have become, start to loom. Suddenly, we hear several noises as the creatures buckle and start to shake, dropping back, pieces breaking off of their forms. Out of the grass, 6 figures emerge, some of them holding silenced pistols, others with machetes going charging in and hacking at the creatures, breaking them apart, sending them to the ground. Finally, a 7th figure emerges. A hood pulled over their head, seemingly from a hoodie. They walk towards one of the downed creatures and kneel down beside it. And in a female voice, they begin speaking in Latin as they reach out their fingerless gloved hand toward the creature, making contact with it, and almost immediately the creature starts to burn with a white hot fire. We then move on to our last scene. In the bowels of some unknown building, stone walls and floors, the essence, the perfect example of a dungeon. We hear the occasional cries and screams of trapped individuals. And then we hear the clicking of heels coming down stone steps. What emerges are knee-high leather stiletto boots and a large muscular woman in a leather bodice and thong, the essence of dominatrix gear. But in her hand, a long bullwhip drags down the stairs and across the floor. She walks towards a barred door and reaches out with a large hand and pulls it open. In a bellowing, screaming voice, seemingly out of nowhere, "Behold my bounty!" Inside the cell, we see two individuals shackled to the walls with silver chains around their wrists and ankles. One of them is a thin, muscular young woman with long hair that is now just all over the place, dangling down to her shoulders. Once a cop, now a captor, Aaron of the Hell Sept is shackled to the wall. But next to her is another woman with shorter cropped hair. Blood is pouring from a cut in her head as Olivia looks up towards the dominatrix woman with a defiant glare. "You'll never turn me." The woman responds, "Oh no, I'm going to take my time with you, sister." And that's where our scene comes to a close and our story comes to a close this evening. Thank you so much to these amazing players. Thank you to everybody watching at home. Go follow St. Pete by Night on all that social media where you can hear about our amazing giveaway going on that's been talked about in the chat all night long. There's also going to be a link to it in the description of the video. So go join that giveaway because there's only about 2 weeks, almost 3 weeks left in that giveaway. So jump in, get it done. That giveaway ends November 1st. And if you want a Werewolf starter pack, that's the best way to get it. So jump in that giveaway. Also, we've got Hellhounds this week on Friday over on YouTube, where you can see what the other pack, that pack of pups, is up to, especially after everything that's happened tonight. And we'll be back with another episode of Rage Across Tampa here on Twitch next week on Tuesday at the same bat time, same bat channel. For these amazing players, I'm Kent. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Have a lovely night, everyone.